Wonderful to see you again. So, we continue on our adventure in the cloud forest of Ecuador. A, B, C, D. Today we do E, F, G, H. But let's review a little bit about what we learned. We learned about the cloud forest and how it has three main characteristics. I think that you helped me with the first two, but I don't think we talked about the third one. Yes, the first was cloud forest because, of course, the clouds, humidity, fog, and that humidity brings nutrients to the air plants. Remember those plants that are actually living on the branches of the trees and the trunks of the trees, like ferns and orchids and bromeliads, all those. And the third characteristic is the fact that in the cloud forest is where you find many endemic species. You got it. That's a difficult word. Endemic means a species or a type of plant and animal that can only be found in a specific habitat or place, like the cloud forest of Ecuador. The Olinguito, el Olinguito, is an example of an endemic species. So, this enchanted forest in Ecuador is a festival of flowers and fresh water springs. A gaggle of cock of the rock display and dance. Huge leaves huddled with ferns, mushrooms, ants. Look at the climbing ants. Oh boy, I have a story about those ants. They are not any kind of ant. It's an ant, an army ant that is, that not only coexist with the Olinguito in the cloud forest of Ecuador. Remember that verb coexist, lives with. Write it up in your journal if you have it handy. Not only it climbs up, it's the only army ant that climbs up the branches of the trees all the way to the canopy of the trees, the top of the trees. But this army ant, I have an amazing story to tell you. I was lucky enough to go in my research. Remember that when you do books like this that are so full of facts and science, you need to do a lot of research. It's very important to do research. So part of my research, I was so lucky to go to travel to the country of Ecuador, where I went to the cloud forest, where I was able to see many of the animals and plants that I picture in this book. And I was talking to my guide, who was a naturalist, and I asked, can you tell me about the army ants here? And he said, oh, I have to tell you about this army ant. We, at home, can hear the army ant when it approaches our house. And I'm going, you can hear the ants? How come? These ants, they come out in swarms of 200,000 individuals. They crawl and climb up to the branches of the trees. And imagine that, so many of them, they blanket everything. They enter the houses, and when they've eaten everything that they need to eat, they leave. That's how the locals leave their houses when they listen to the army ants. But these are not any kind of army ants. This is a specific kind of army ant that lives in the cloud forest at the altitude of the Olinguito. And if you wanted to find out more about that army ant or about this amazing black and red bird called, common name is the cock of the rock. You go and find more by using not the common name, but the scientific name. That's another little detail you can write up in that journal of yours. Yes, scientific names, like for example, for the cock of the rock, you have Rupicola peruviana. For that amazing army ant, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but it is, as I read it, Esiton burkeli is the scientific name of the army ant. By knowing these scientific names, anyone can learn about the right species that you are finding, that you want to find out more about. Because, see, common names vary from country to country, and of course from a Spanish speaking country to an English speaking country to a French speaking country, but not the scientific name. Scientific names remain the same, and that is extremely important for you to know if you later on want to find out more information about anything that you discover along with me as we go deep into the forest of the Olinguito. So, EFGH, until the next time when we will be discussing a little bit more about the cloud forest, the amazing species of plants and animals that live with the Olinguito. Hasta luego!